Get a few more seconds. Let's just be quiet for a little bit. So I just want to say that I'm really excited to be here. This is one of my favorite Tampa events, and I've been wanting to speak here for quite a few years. So thank you for having me. I would wager to say that everyone in this room loves bread. And when you have a meal with really good bread, you remember that meal, and you end up sharing that memory with your friends. I met someone recently, and he was telling me about a meal he had with his wife over 30 years ago. He remembered the bread. He remembered how it had olives in it and how it was still crunchy on the outside and what the olive oil tasted like. When I was a kid, we moved to Greece. One of our chores was to go to the bakery every day for a fresh loaf of bread. And I remember my dad coming home from the bakery with a fresh loaf tucked under his arm. Most of the time, it'd still be warm. Did you know that 40% of American families have dinner together less than 4 times a week? And 10% don't have dinner together at all. In our house, every meal was a family meal. You know, my mom made sure that with all the love and preparation she put into the food. The American family dinner has died, and I'm not sure we understand exactly why. It's easy to say that we ran out of time, but we never chose to stop spending time with each other. We just chose convenience. So years later, we moved back to America and opened up a restaurant, much like the rest of our big fat Greek family. Cooking in the kitchen there really taught me a lot. You know, it made me fall in love with food and appreciate the effort it takes to make a good meal. And years later, when I got married, I wanted to learn how to bake bread. You know, I was wanting to be able to mimic the tastes and memories I had from Greece growing up. And I wanted to share that with my new family. So I went out and spent about $100 on bread baking equipment that I didn't really need, but I did need this book. This was my first bread baking book, and I couldn't recommend it more to any of you who would like to learn how to bake great bread. So 6 months later, when I finally got around to baking my first batch of bread, we dipped that hot, crusty, crunchy deliciousness in everything we had in the kitchen. It was amazing. And that was almost 4 years ago. So it's pretty amazing what you can accomplish with just flour, water, yeast, and a little salt. I went to a birthday party recently, and I didn't know anyone there, so I brought some bread. But by the end of the party, I had met almost everyone there. When my wife and I go to dinner parties, we take a bottle of wine and a loaf of bread. The bread's just a great conversation starter. It just amplifies the energy in the room. And it's like the appetizer nobody expects. We went to a wine tasting with some friends a while back. And by the end of the tasting, our friend Vance was literally stuffing his shirt with the leftover bread. He loved it so much. He wanted to take it home. Friends ask me to teach them how to bake bread quite often. And I try to teach anyone that's interested. One of our neighbors started baking. A couple of my friends that are here tonight started baking. It's great. You know, we share recipes and sometimes sourdough starters. Every now and then I'll take bread to work, and it's usually gone within an hour. But it's not about feeding people. When we eat the bread, we talk about life, about the bread, whatever. But building community through food, it really makes an impact. You know, bread has allowed me to grow my own community. Baking bread has taught me new ways to engage and form relationships and just bring people together. When I share bread with my friends, I get all happy and excited, but especially when they engage with me about baking or cooking. But this talk is not about baking bread. It's about breaking bread, okay? It's about breaking bread with others. It's about how you can make small dents in your community. It's about building and making friendships. It's about the lost art of the family dinner. You know, bread has helped me accomplish that in my life. And I truly believe that we all have something to bring to the table. So tonight, I challenge you guys to find what your something is and share it within your community. Thank you.